All right, so move on to the next segment. I'll be sharing my AFC mid-season letter grade for all 16 teams in the AFC conference. So all 16 teams will be getting a letter grade, a mid-season letter grade for me. I'll be covering all 16 teams in the AFC, so I'll be going by division. Down the line of the four divisions with the four divisions in the AFC with all four teams being a part of that division. So let's start off with the AFC East. My letter grade for the Buffalo Bills is an A+. The Buffalo Bills are in firm control of the AFC East. They are 8-2. Everybody else are bottom feeders at the AFC East. They have a 5-game lead in the AFC East, firm control of first place in that division. But I got to say, their offensive coordinator, Joe Brady, has done a really good job play calling with this Buffalo Bills offense this year. I think he's going to get a lot of looks in some interviews by the end of the season to possibly land a head coaching job, because the job that he's done with the Buffalo Bills play calling wise, running the ball well, no matter who's available, James Cook or anybody in the backfield, they've looked good running the ball this year. Josh Allen's done a great job cutting back on his turnovers this year, and his touchdown interception ratio is looking pretty good. He's only got 4 interceptions. Someone that is known for being one of the best quarterbacks in the league, but just turning over the ball. And he's done a great job cutting back on that. And I think that's how, because of the play calling style that Joe Brady has designed for him this NFL season. So I got to say, this team is going to get better as the second half of the season rolls on. When they get Amari Cooper back, who they acquired before the NFL trade deadline, I think Keon Coleman, rookie wide receiver from Florida State, could be a big difference maker in this offense as the season goes on. You're starting to see him grow more and more confidence as the season goes on. So I got to say, the Buffalo Bills and their defense is playing pretty good too. So I got to say, they deserve an A+ for me from what they've done this early in the at the midway point of the NFL season. Ooh, this next one is a grade you don't want to show your mama on report card grade or report card day. New York Jets get an F-. The New York Jets just flunked the exam. They flunked the exam. They flunked the season. Aaron Rodgers single-handedly destroyed this team. And this is what happens when there's no I in team, but you can pull this off by controlling a team in the NBA, something that, even though I love LeBron James doing, he has full control of that Los Angeles Lakers team. But when you try to do this in the National Football League with over 50 players on a team, several coaches, front office, you can't do it. And that's what Aaron Rodgers did this year. He wanted to control everything, and he destroyed the entire team for the New York Jets. They're fucked. They are fucked. They're one quarterback away. That was their saying. Quarterback away my ass. Because they would have had the same win-loss ratio with Zach Wilson running the show right now in New York. And Aaron Rodgers got Robert Saleh fired. Got Nathaniel Hackett demoted, your former offensive coordinator in the Green Bay days. You traded for Devontae Adams, and you still find yourself at 3-7. Aaron Rodgers looks washed. There's no saving the New York Jets. There's no more trades to be made. They're bottom feeders. They're 3-7, and this is a failure. And they could be screwed for their future, because what if Aaron Rodgers just packs it up and retires after this year? What do you do then? So they definitely get an F-. Miami Dolphins. Miami Dolphins, I have to say C-. You can't really judge them too much because of the situation that happened to them early in the season when Tua Tagovailoa suffered that concussion injury. They didn't really have good quarterback play for a long time out there in Miami. So what were they really supposed to work with? They did pick up a big Monday Night Football victory on the road against the Los Angeles Rams. So I guess a C- is the best thing to do with this Miami Dolphins team. Now, New England Patriots, I'm going to say a D+. Obviously, the Patriots are in full rebuild mode, so this is not really a shocker to a lot of people. Gerard Mayo this is his first year coaching the National Football League as a former player for the Patriots, and this is his first year coaching the Patriots, so he's not really going to get much backlash. We're really not much to work with out there in New England. I think they're starting to figure out which players will be the cornerstones of the rebuild, the guys that are building the foundation, even though they are losing. Guys like Drake May, their rookie quarterback that they drafted in the third round, with the third overall pick from North Carolina. He's looked decent as a dual threat. He's had his moments at times, and it's showing that rookies take time to develop. Christian Gonzalez, their standout cornerback from Oregon that they drafted a few years ago. I think he's going to be a stud at the cornerback position. He has a lot of potential to be a top 10, top 5 cornerback in the National Football League one day. Jabril Peppers is probably the best player on offense or on the entire team right now. Free safety, and Kyle Duggar. They got a pretty good safety and free safety duo with Kyle Duggar and Jabril Peppers, but I do believe those players will be the cornerstones of the rebuild. But Patriots get a D+. Now let's move on to the AFC West. The Kansas City Chiefs obviously get an A+. I mean, they're finding ways to win each and every single week. They still find themselves 9-0, the only undefeated team in the National Football League. Whether it's a blocked field goal for the win, overtime wins, dogfight wins, and close ball games, they're finding ways to win, and that's why they find themselves undefeated, the final undefeated team this NFL season. The offense is really starting to wake up. I mean, Patrick Mahomes, this is not really his best season, probably his worst season as a pro, and that's saying something for somebody this deep in his NFL career. But they're still undefeated. He's had some turnovers, but they're starting to find life. He's playing better offensively. The addition of DeAndre Hopkins playing on the outside is going to be a real difference maker for the second half of the season. And once the playoffs come around, Travis Kelce is starting to wake up and smell the coffee at the tight end position. He's starting to look like his old self. Kareem Hunt, despite Isaiah Pacheco going on IR, Kareem Hunt has ran the ball tremendously. They're looking good, and their defense is playing at the top tier level that they normally do on a weekly basis by Steve Spagnuolo's defense that he has them playing at elite level each and every single year. So they get an A+. How about the Los Angeles Chargers? They get an A+ as well. Already have more wins than they did last year when they finished the season at 5-11. They are 6-2 right now in the National Football League. Now, the quarterback duo of Justin Herbert and Jim Harbaugh, that's a pretty good duo that's taking place out there in LA right now. So they're looking pretty good. Their defense is actually only allowing 12 points per game this season. They have played a lot of bad teams, I will say, when you look at their resume. You can only play who's on the schedule. But they play teams like the Saints, the Panthers, the Titans, the Browns. However, only allowing 12 points per game, leading that in the National Football League, that's pretty impressive no matter who you're playing on a weekly basis. This is the National Football League, so their schedule is going to get tougher as the season goes on, but what they showed me right now being 6-3, I did say 6-2, I apologize for that. For them being 6-3, that's pretty impressive to me. They get an A+. Now, Denver Broncos, they're going to get a C+ for me. The team is exceeding expectations to me this NFL season because after cutting Russell Wilson, eating the cap money and dead cap space and dead cap money, I thought this team would be way worse. But their defense is one of the best defensive units in the league. I mean, Bo Nix, their rookie quarterback, other than Cortland Sutton, what does he really have to work with for offensive weapons? So they're doing the best they can out there in Denver. The fact that they are in rebuild mode with Sean Payton at the helm, being 5-5, I gotta say that's not too bad. So I give that a C+. Now, the Las Vegas Raiders get an F-. Where do I begin with this team? Antonio Pierce could most likely be fired by the end of the 2024-25 regular season. And I feel bad for him because Antonio Pierce is really a likable guy out there in Vegas. I like his coaching philosophy. I like that he's a player's coach, a defensive-minded guy. After that big win on the road week 2 against the Baltimore Ravens, this Raiders team really hasn't had nothing to really cheer about or be confident about. I mean, they traded away Devontae Adams to New York, to the New York Jets. It's like hot potato basket. It's like a game of hot potato basketball or musical chairs with their quarterback position right now. How they go back and forth between Aiden O'Connell and Gardner Minshew. I mean, what is there really left to do for this Raiders team? And they fired several coaches during the bye week. I don't know what to say about this team. F-. Hopefully they lock up a top 3, top 5 pick for their forsake of the future out there in Vegas this NFL draft, but might as well tank to get a top 3 pick. Let's move on to the AFC North. The Pittsburgh Steelers get an A+. Now, this Steelers team is really poised to go on a second half run. I mean, the job that Mike Tomlin has done going 7-2. Mike Tomlin has done a great job coaching this team. They started off 4-2 with Justin Fields. They transitioned pretty well from Justin Fields to Russell Wilson. And that was a hard choice by Mike Tomlin, but they made the right one because this offense is playing top tier. And they're 3-0 with Russell Wilson, Mr. Unlimited. And he's found himself late in his career. But the running game is effective with Najee Harris and Jaylen Warren in the backfield. The key additions of Mike Williams and Preston Smith are going to take them a long way, I believe, in the second half of the NFL season. So the way how the Steelers have played thus far, they're 7-2. They get an A+ on my early report card grade. Now, the Baltimore Ravens get an A-. Now, the only reason why the Ravens have an A- instead of an A+ is because they did start off the season 0-2, and they have some bad stinker losses to the Raiders and the Browns, which it's the National Football League, anything can happen, but that looks ugly on your resume when you look at your 2 out of 3 losses, the Raiders and the Browns. So we all know how electrifying their offense is with Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry. They got a lot of top-tier playmakers out there in Baltimore right now. But in order for them to possibly get back to the AFC Championship, make the Super Bowl or win a Super Bowl, they got to touch up on that defense because that defense is not at the level that Mike McDonald had them at last year. And they're not really a good unit. I mean, middle of the pack, bottom tier defense at best for the Baltimore Ravens this year. So definitely is the reason why they get an A- instead of a C+. I mean, A- instead of A+. I got a little too carried away into my next one. The Cincinnati Bengals get a C-. Now, they find themselves at 4-6, but it's not even Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow's fault of why they're 4-6. They have put them, Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow put them in position time in and time out to win ball games. Joe Burrow can go out there for the Cincinnati Bengals, throw 5 passing touchdowns, and still the Bengals find a way to lose the game. I mean, their defense is not good at all. Other than Hendrickson, this defense has no bright spots. And it's pretty awful. I think they're one of the worst defenses in the league. The Bengals have actually lost 5 out of 6 of their games by 1 possession. That's insane for a 4-6 ball team. So I gotta say they deserve a C- on my list, on my letter grade. Now the Cleveland Browns, they get an F-. Now the Browns, it's paper bag season out there in Cleveland. Once again, Deshaun Watson was a waste of $230 million. I mean, played horribly all the way up until the torn Achilles. The torn Achilles was the icing on the cake. I think that's going to be their reason why they get Deshaun Watson out of town in Cleveland. And they traded away pieces like Amari Cooper, Zadarius Smith. Now they find themselves at 2-7, in position once again to get a quarterback for a new franchise quarterback. How many franchise quarterbacks have the Browns went through? It's unbelievable, but they get an F- for a 2-7 season. They're probably going to clean house, get a whole new coaching staff out there in Cleveland. Now let's move on to this AFC South. The Houston Texans get a letter grade of a C+. Now I'm very critical on the Houston Texans this year because I am expecting more from DeMeco Ryans. I'm expecting more from quarterback C.J. Stroud in his sophomore season. And I am very critical on C.J. Stroud because I love watching C.J. Stroud. I follow his career all the way from Ohio State to the NFL. I've always been a big fan. But he's having a huge sophomore slump that we might need to talk about. He's not playing close. He's not playing at the level closely to what he did in his rookie season. And I get it. NFL scouts get more tape on you. They game plan for you better, defensive coordinators. But he should be having this Texans offense playing so much better. They have not scored a second-half touchdown since Week 6. And regardless of the Stephon Diggs ACL tear, regardless of Nico Collins missing time, Tank Dell missing time, C.J. Stroud should still be playing so much better. And their 2 previous losses to the Jets, he didn't play good against that defense. You look at what he did against the Detroit Lions. The Houston Texans, basically, their defense blessed them with CJ Stroud just go out there, do his job, and get the win. They forced Jared Goff to throw 5 interceptions, and they still lost that ball game because CJ Stroud really couldn't get the offense going in the second half, putting up 0 touchdowns in the second half. Like I just said, 0 touchdowns scored in the second half since week 6 of a ball game is not pretty. So I have to say that they get a C+. Now, the Indianapolis Colts get a D+. The team should be playing so much better than 4-6. They got a good head coach and Shane Steichen. They got talent on both sides of the ball. Anthony Richardson's situation really put a damper on this Indianapolis Colts team. I mean, even though that Anthony Richardson really wasn't playing that well until the incident where he tapped himself out of the game, needed a break, that really caused some friction in the Colts locker room because you got some young players that stood up for Anthony Richardson saying that he'd get another chance to get back in there. Then you had some players that were in favor of Joe Flacco starting. So it seemed like this put a wrench in the plans of the Colts being a much better team than they were last year. And actually competing once again for the AFC South. So I got to give them a D+. Now, Jacksonville Jaguars get a D-. Now, this team most likely has lost Trevor Lawrence for the remainder of the season due to a shoulder injury. Doug Peterson probably won't be back next year. He probably was going to be fired or let go by the end of the regular season. Now, this Jacksonville Jaguars team finds themselves at 2-8. The Jaguars have lost 6 one-possession games. That's insane for being 2-8. And they're just a team that cannot finish ball games because you being 2-8, you got to tell me more. They're in ball games, but for you to lose 6 one-possession games, I don't know what else to say. They get a D-. Now, last team on the report card's grades is the Tennessee Titans. They get a fat F-. They're the worst team in the league, in my opinion. The Titans are the worst team in the league. And in my opinion, from the film and the time that I've actually sat down and watched the Tennessee Titans offense, Mason Rudolph is a better quarterback than Will Levis. And that's a damn shame that I just said that. I mean, Will Levis is a problem for the Titans moving forward. If I was running the organization, I truly wouldn't trust him being the franchise quarterback moving forward. But if players get better, situations get better. But this season, the Titans just have no hope. I mean, the offseason, I don't know what hope you really have moving forward because the offseason moves of letting Derrick Henry walk in free agency, signed with the Ravens. You brought in Tony Pollard out as a replacement. That really didn't work out. L'Jarius Sneed, cornerback that you traded from the Kansas City Chiefs, he's not playing at the level that he did in the Kansas City Chiefs defense. Calvin Ridley, that offseason acquiring him in the offseason, that's not playing out. That hasn't paid off. And you traded DeAndre Hopkins away for a 5th rounder to the Kansas City Chiefs. That's not paying off either. Excuse me. So I don't know what to say about it. But those are my NFL AFC mid-season letter grade report card grades.